By request of one of the blog readers, wanted to make a quick video in response to President Obama's deficit reduction program that he made a speech about this week. And I want to look at the issue from an economic and investment business standpoint, which is the way I like to look at most everything that goes on in Washington. And when you do this, you'll find out that a lot of what goes on doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it's the smoke and mirrors and circuses and whatnot, because they all want to win votes. And one of the big points that President Obama made with his budget deficit reduction plan is tax holes and loopholes of the rich. And one of the things when you're looking at taxes and tax code is to really understand it, you need to look at why it's structured the way it is structured. And my accounting advisor, Tom Wheelwright, who's local here in Scottsdale, Arizona, through his research, he's identified that the tax code, the philosophy of the tax codes for all of the developed countries in the world are all basically the same. Now, the code and the rules might differ a little bit, but the motivation behind what's putting those rules and that code in place is the same. They're all going after the same results. And here's the thing. The government is going to make tax code and tax rules to get people to do what they want them to do. So you look at what a lot of the big tax cuts are for and what they would encourage, and like real estate, for example. Real estate is probably the most tax advantageous investing that you can do. The reason why is the government needs investors to provide affordable housing for the general population. And same thing with businesses. The tax cuts that businesses receive is because the businesses provide jobs, and the government needs entrepreneurs and business owners to create jobs so that people have jobs. And so one of the things is with that I don't know if President Obama understands, or I think maybe he does understand, but he's not going to call it like it is because he's too concerned with votes, is that by reducing the tax cuts to the people who make $250,000 a year or more, you are de-incentivizing them now to invest in their businesses and jobs and expansion. And you're de-incentivizing real estate investors from providing housing. You're de-incentivizing business owners from providing jobs. And so, obviously, look, I get it. It sounds like, somebody makes $250,000 a year or more. I get it. They have enough money, and they don't need all that money. But the reality of it is, if you de-incentivize them by not giving them those tax cuts, now they're going to have to cut back in other places, such as payroll, to make up for that. And now that doesn't help the economy at all. It actually makes it worse. So, all that being said, I think it's kind of a joke for any politician, the president, or anybody to have a serious lecture or address on the issue of the deficit when they don't even touch on the topic of unfunded government liabilities. If you look at Social Security and Medicare alone, we're talking $50 and $60 trillion time bombs. And the reason why is these government programs, Social Security and Medicare, they don't put money into the government's pocket. Okay, they take money out of the government's pocket. And there's not enough money to take out anymore to pay for these liabilities. So, I mean, it's basically the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world, but in reality, eventually that's going to crash, and there's not going to be any more money for Medicare or Social Security. Look, I get it. We don't want to cut Social Security or Medicare. I don't want to see that happen either. The reality of it is, we don't have a choice. The money's just not there, and it's just simple math. So, I honestly think it's a little bit of, my honest opinion about the speech, a little bit of a joke to bring up the fact that the rich need to be taxed more when the rich are the people that are providing the jobs and the housing, and then not even touch on issues such as unfunded liabilities from the government, which are, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. In fact, the stats actually show that by the year 2050, unfunded liabilities such as Social Security and Medicare will take up the entire gross domestic product of the country. That means it'll cost more just to fund Social Security and Medicare in 2050 than all of the money that the United States can produce from their goods and services. Now that's insane. So in reality, it's kind of like the deficit plan that President Obama addressed. To me, it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a wound that requires full surgery, really, and stitches. So we'll see what happens with this showdown and everything that's going on with the budget. We'll see what really happens, but everything that's happened so far is more of what's been done in the past, and the reason why is people don't want to get real and say things that are going to cost them votes. And talking about Social Security and Medicare being unfunded liabilities, it's not going to win any politician a lot of votes. So I understand where the politicians are coming from, but we as people need to wisen up and see what's going on and see that they're not addressing the serious issues that need to be addressed, and we need to address them ourselves. Keep getting educated. Let's stay strong.